This video will be the first of several videos that will describe the Theta Grid Adjustment rules. In the TBTA system, every verb has what we call a theta grid. And you can see that theta grid. For example, here's the verb bring. This happens to be bring lexical sense A. We have three senses of the verb to bring, and they'll have slightly different meanings, different usages. So this is bring sense A. And if we rest our cursor here, we can see the definition: to carry something to someone or someplace. So far, this verb has occurred 221 times in our semantic representations. We've analyzed roughly 1/5 of the Bible, plus a few other articles and some Bible stories. But so far, we've used it 221 times. And then we have what linguists call the theta grid. You can see there it has an agent-like noun phrase. We call it agent-like because a verb like bring has an agent. But other verbs, like, for example, the equative sense of to be, it doesn't have an agent, but we wanted to keep our set of semantic rules very small. So even for a verb like to be, we have an agent. The semantic rule is most agent-like. And for bring, which does have a typical agent, we again use the semantic rule as most agent-like. So in the theta grid, there's an agent-like noun phrase, and it's obligatory. There's no parentheses around it, meaning it's always there. Every occurrence of this verb bring sense A, there will always be an agent noun phrase. There will always be a patient noun phrase. We say patient-like for the same reason as we use agent-like. There's an optional source noun phrase. You see that it's in parentheses. So some occurrences of bring A, some will have a source noun phrase, others won't. There's an optional destination noun phrase, and there's an optional beneficiary noun phrase. And you can see the argument structure and how we use it in our semantic representations. For example, look at Daniel 5:2. The servants brought the cups from the temple to the palace. So the word cup is in the patient noun phrase. The word temple is in the source noun phrase, and the palace is in the destination noun phrase. The other example, Kanji story 2:6. The women brought food for the family. So family is in a beneficiary noun phrase. So every verb and every adjective as well, they have what we call theta grids. And you can see examples down below of examples of some of the agents, the patients, the sources, the destinations, beneficiaries, etc. So we come over here to the Theta Grid Adjustment rules. When we open this node, we see these groups. TBTA built these rules for you when you created your language project, and it put them into groups. And the verbs are ordered alphabetically. So the first group is Theta Grid Adjustments for events abandon A through bend over A. Events is the semantic name for verbs. Down here, we have theta grid adjustments for object attributes. These are adjectives. For adjectives 1 through 33, able through fast, fast through new, etc. And if we open up one of these groups, when TBTA built these rules, they're all off. Initially, they're all turned off. It's up to you to activate them. And it'll put 90 rules into a group. And if we want to look at the theta grid adjustment rule for bring sense A, that'll be in the second group. So we can come down here to bring sense A. And it's turned off, as I said. So TBTA knows the theta grid for bring. So there's an obligatory agent. When it's a white background, that means it's always there. The purple cross-hatching means it's optional. So there's always an agent-like noun phrase. There's always a patient-like noun phrase. The source noun phrase is optional, indicated by purple cross-hatching. The destination noun phrase is optional. The beneficiary noun phrase is also optional. So TBTA built these for you. Here's the theta grid for bring sense A. And you can make your changes down in the output structure. There's an input structure and an output structure. When this rule is executed, TBTA will look to see if the input structure can be found in the verse that you're currently translating. So it'll search for this input structure. If it finds it, it will make whatever changes you specify in the output structure. And these Theta Grid Adjustment rules can have up to 99 structures. You can go up to 99. And when a rule is executed, if there are multiple structures, TBTA will start with the last structure that you've defined. So if you've defined 10 structures, it will start at that 10th one and see if that input structure matches what's in your current verse. If it finds it, it will go to the output structure and then make the changes you've specified. You can, for all of those other structures except structure number 1, there's a box down here. After applying this output structure, continue searching previous input structures. Usually, let's say you have 10 structures for bring sensei. It will start with the 10th one, and if it matches the current verse that you're working on, then whatever changes you've specified in the output structure, TBTA will do those. And usually, that rule is then done. You don't want to make any more changes. But if you need the rule to make more changes, you can check this box. After applying this output structure, continue searching previous input structures. We'll talk more about that in detail when we look at the structural adjustment rules. But you can define up to 99 structures, and they're executed from the last one up to the front one. So the idea is you put your very generic structure up front as structure number 1. That's the most generic. Then you have more specific structures the further back you go. For example, suppose when you have the verb bring, if you're bringing it to a person, you might use one preposition in the destination. If you're bringing it to a place, then you might have a different preposition. So you can write one structure for bringing things to a person, and then a different structure for bringing things to a place. And I'll actually build this structure, this Theta Grid Adjustment rule, in the next video.